Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. It actually means a lot to me, believe it or not. Many of you have been asking me about course selection. At this point, you have been accepted and now you are in the works of figuring out how the heck to plan your degree and figure out what courses you need to take in your first year. This video is specifically for science students simply because I can't really speak to how other faculties work. So I'm sorry if you are in another faculty and looking for some help, but maybe you can take some things from this video. So today specifically, I'm going to be talking about first year courses that you really should be taking, how the credits kind of work. I'm going to be talking about the science breadth requirement, the communication requirement, and a few other things, and I don't remember what they are, but they will come to me. Anyways, with that being said, let's just jump into today's video. Let's go. Okay, so first things first, as a science student, you have three options when it comes to figuring out your first year courses and what that's going to look like. You have the option to be a part of the Science 1 program. I personally don't know that much about it because I wasn't a part of it. From what I understand, it is a very engaging program and a very demanding program. The other thing that you can consider is the Coordinated Science program. And the great thing about the Coordinated Science program is that it essentially sets you up with all of the first year courses that you could possibly need to get yourself into almost any specialization. The Coordinated Science program is a little similar to Science 1 in that sense, but I believe there's a little more flexibility in the courses that you choose. There are a few extra tutorials for students that are in the Coordinated Science program that are cohort-based, so you're specifically working with a smaller group of students and the same group of students, which is always nice if you're trying to make friends and just kind of get out there and meet new people. Having a support network like that within your academic community is really, really valuable and important because school gets hard, and when school gets hard, you need your people. And then the other option is to pick a standard timetable. Picking a standard timetable is very similar to the Coordinated Science program, just because it offers those same courses, but don't have the same flexibility as what you would if you were to create your own timetable. I opted for creating my own timetable in my first year because I wanted to be able to pick my professors, I wanted to pick when I woke up, and I wanted to have a little bit more control over what my days looked like, when my labs were, when my tutorials were, and just get to have a little bit of fun with planning my courses. So as a first year science student, those are kind of your four main options when it comes to planning your courses. Honestly, I can't really speak to the CSP or Science 1 or Standard Timetable because I didn't really do any of that. I planned my own timetable, which I'm very happy I did because I really liked my professors and I loved the way that my class schedule fit. When I was making my work list, I will not lie, there is something very satisfying about looking at your timetable and seeing how balanced it is and knowing that was a product of your hard work. It's beautiful. If you're trying to plan your courses and you're thinking that you want to go for a custom timetable, there are some things that you need to be aware of. Whereas if you were to be a part of the Coordinated Science program, Science 1, or picking a standard timetable, most of this stuff is kind of taken care of for you. I think a really good point to make here is that you can use the curriculum for those timetables and those programs as a frame of reference for what courses you pick. First year science courses are pretty standard across the board. Almost all second year specializations in science require the same first year courses with, obviously a couple differences here and there depending on what the specialization is. The only thing that varies from specialization to specialization are the courses that you have to have completed in order to actually apply. One thing that I want to mention here is that first year courses don't have to be done in your first year. I'm taking a couple first year courses over the summer here, and I will likely even have to take one next year just because of the way my scheduling worked out. So I guess what I'm saying with that is don't worry too much about trying to get it all done in your first year, because if you are trying to take every single first year course that you could possibly need in your first year, you are going to be very overwhelmed. With that all being said, when it comes to planning your own timetable, you need to be aware of the science breadth requirement. And this is something that drives me absolutely crazy. So essentially what the science breadth requirement is this set of different categories of courses or types of courses that you need to complete from 7 different departments. It is expected that for students who intend on completing a major in some field, whatever it is expected that you are taking at least 3 credits from 6 of the 7 categories. And for students that are in a combined major, it's expected that they're completing 3 credits from 5 of the 7 categories. And I believe those categories include mathematics, life sciences, computer science, statistics, chemistry, physics. I'm missing one. Earth and planetary sciences. There we go. For the most part, the way that first year science is structured, you check off chemistry, physics, some of the life sciences, potentially computer science, and potentially earth and environmental sciences pretty dang quick and almost right out the bat. So you don't have to worry too much about this, but it becomes a little tricky because once you get into your specialization, there are typically very strict courses that you need to take in order to fulfill that degree, and you might not have the room for electives. So that's just something to be aware of when it comes to actually planning your first year and what that might look like. There is a little bit of flexibility in that, but you just need to be aware of that structure and how that's going to fit into the timetable that you're planning for yourself. The next thing that you need to be aware of is something called the communication requirement. It tells you that you have to take an English course, which is fair because you need to be able to speak and you need to be able to write. And honestly, like, that's something I really can't do. If you heard the raw clips that I filmed, you would be absolutely mortified, but that's besides the point. So essentially with this communication requirement, it's expected that you are taking either 3 or 6 credits of some form of communications course. And whether that directly takes the form of an English course or something equivalent to that, it doesn't really matter so long as those credits are fulfilled. The number of communication credits that you take will depend on whatever major you end up in. So some majors only require about 3 credits while others require maybe 6. I didn't take English in my first year because I wanted to focus on courses that were more relevant to my major. As a science student, you don't have to complete your communication requirement until the end of your second year. And you even have the summer after your second year leading up to third year to complete your communication requirement. There isn't really the rush for it. However, what you need to really think about here is that the longer you wait, the harder it is to get into a class. So you do have a little bit of flexibility in when you take that course and when you fulfill that requirement, but you just have to make sure that you're not putting it off too long, so you avoid the problem of not actually being able to take the course and getting the credits you need. You do have a couple options when it comes to which courses you take to fulfill this requirement. So you can directly take an English course, you can take a words course, which is more arts-based, but from what I understand, words focuses more so on a specific topic surrounding something in our world, something that's happening. The other option that is specific to science students is a course called Sci 113. It's a more scientific approach to communication and writing. It's kind of research-based rather than, English, history, story stuff. Okay, so the next thing is something called the science and art requirement. And essentially what this is telling you is that you need to complete 12 credits in arts-based courses and at least 72 credits in science-based courses. This is not strictly in first year. Please know that it is completely unmanageable and unrealistic and technically not even possible to complete 72 credits of science courses in 1 year. So this is kind of looking at your degree at a whole. So I guess the reason I'm bringing this up now is simply because it's a good idea to maybe think about some introductory arts courses that you could be taking in your first year and, try and incorporate those somehow into your second, third, and fourth year. And quite frankly, you don't need to be worried about upper year things right now because you're not even in your first year yet. Not that you want to ignore this, but just keep it in the back of your mind and just be aware that arts credits are something that you do need to fulfill. That kind of sums up some of the requirements you need to be aware of for your first year. There are so many other things that you need to be aware of, but don't really need to worry about until your upper years. So for what I've already talked about, I will put links down in the description below so you can take a look at that for yourself and just kind of come to better understand exactly what those requirements are, what the exceptions are, and just what you have to do in order to fulfill them. So the next part of this now is me telling you a little bit about what a standard timetable might look like and just some of the first year courses that are essential the courses that you really just need to take. The nice thing about first year sciences, and the thing that also kind of sucks, is that it's pretty much the same for everybody regardless of what your intended major is. So if you go onto UBC's website and you start looking through all the different specialization options, you will see that for the most part there are 7 courses that almost every specialization requires for first year. Those include Biology 112, Biology 121, Chemistry 121, Chemistry 123, Math 102, Math 103, and Physics 101. And all of these courses will pretty much set you up for success in any specialization. What you need to be aware of is that some specializations require other courses on top of that. Those 7 courses are pretty standard. So if you've already got 7 courses spoken for and you plan on taking English in your first year and fulfilling your communication requirement, that's 8 courses. And that's already 4 and 4 courses per term. If you plan on, say, only taking 4 courses per term, that's your first year right there. That's all you're taking. If you plan on doing 5 and 5, you've got a little flexibility. You might be able to squeeze in an elective or 2, but for the most part, that's pretty standard. In my first year, I took Biology 121, Math 104, Math 105, Chemistry 121, Chemistry 123, Physics 100, Physics 101, and Comm 120. And because I didn't take physics in high school, I had to take an introductory physics course, which was Physics 100, and then Comm 120 would essentially have counted as an elective. So those were my 2 free spaces there. And you'll notice that I did not mention Biology 112 or an English course. That is because I am taking Biology 112 over the summer and taking my English course next year sometime. In general, the first year structure is basically 3 communication credits, 8 chemistry credits. Chemistry courses count as 4 credits each simply because they've got a lab attached to them. You need 6 credits of math and 3 credits of physics, and then 6 credits of biology. Or something I would strongly encourage you to do is to look at your top 3 intended majors. With all of those first year course requirements, the generalized first year course requirements, it is important to be looking at what your intended major is and what courses it requires specifically. So if you're planning on majoring in computer science, you're going to need to be taking some first year computer science courses. If you're looking at majoring in, I don't know, astronomy or whatever that looks like, you're going to need to take some astronomy courses. And those aren't things that are naturally built into your first year schedule. If you're taking a standard timetable or a part of Science 1 or the CSP, that's not necessarily going to fulfill the requirements that you need to get into that major. There is this one webpage that I found a while back that was my absolute saving grace when I was trying to figure this out. I will link this webpage down below as well, and that's going to show you exactly what courses you have to have completed by the end of your first year in order to even apply to this major. Earlier in the video, I mentioned something called a work list. If you log on to your SSC and you go to course registration, you can create something called a work list. And a work list allows you to pick the time slots in which you would hypothetically be taking a course and plan your timetable. In the world of UBC, planning your work list and trying to figure out how all your courses are going to fit together to optimize your schedule is really, really important. It's kind of fun to really just play around with all the courses and, just figure it all out. A work list really just gives you the ability to kind of get creative and try and plan out your first year. But again, if you're going with a standard timetable or you're in the CSP or Science 1, you don't really need to worry about creating this timetable because everything will be done for you. If you're looking for a little bit of a challenge and you really just want to be responsible for your first year schedule, creating a work list is the first step to actually figuring out how the heck you're going to plan your courses. I'm hoping this didn't overwhelm you too much because there is a lot to think about when it comes to planning your courses. There's so much more information that I could be sharing with you guys, but I just wanted to kind of get you thinking about what some of these requirements might look like and how you might be able to build that into your first year schedule. I know it's overwhelming, I know it's confusing, but I am here to help. So if you do have any questions, please do email me. You can leave a comment too, but emailing is just a little more personal and I'm able to give you a little bit more help and more thorough help. So if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out, and hopefully you will tune in next time where I do like a full-on walkthrough of course planning and picking your courses and building a work list. So stay tuned for that plan your courses with me video thing. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today, you guys. I really do appreciate it. I will see you next time, hopefully. Bye.